at last. It seems like goodness knows how long since I was able to sit down comfortably uh, and paint and live stream at the same time. I really don't know what's gone wrong this last month. It's just been one of those times in life where nothing seems to go right. It started when I first stretched this particular painting out onto a sheet of watercolour paper that I'd bought, and I'd drawn it all out. I'd spent probably about 3.5, 4 hours working, only to find that the watercolour paper that I'd bought was absolutely useless. What'd you do? The only thing I could do was take it all off and start again, which is what I did. You might have seen I did do a little bit of a video about it, and I mentioned it before. Um, but it is great to be back. I mean, anybody that's been sort of following me will have probably seen over the past month my back uh, went about 3 weeks ago. Um, I nursed it for a week, but not enough. I thought I got through it, and it went again even worse, which totally knocked me off my feet for a week or so. It's been better this week, though it is aching a little bit at the moment, and I don't know how good this chair is that I'm sitting in, to be perfectly honest, to do this job. I've got a cushion behind my back, so that'll hopefully help. But fingers crossed, one, that the stream is good, because oh goodness gracious me, I've had some trouble with the internet in the other studio. You'll notice there's a totally different background behind me than if you've been watching me before doing the live streaming. This is totally different. I've had to move totally into another room. Um, I've had to abandon watercolour painting and live streaming in the small studio that I've got outside, which is where you saw me working before, with my green screen behind me and all the technology going blah de blah, all the rest of it. But this is me, and actually it's out in the front room of our home, and it's what I've used for ever since we've been living here, as my music studio, and it sort of still is. I have got the strangest um, setup here. You wouldn't believe it. I'm sitting in front of the machine that I usually use to record my music. I've got two audio monitors here, an audio interface. I've got a keyboard by my side and 4 guitars behind me. It's totally different, but I've had to adapt, and adapt I have. So now we have the watercolour in front of me, we have the microphone out of shot at the side, we have camera above, camera in front like we had in the old studio, and we're set up to paint, and that's what I'm going to do for the next probably hour and a half at the most. I really don't want to push it for this first section, just in case my back doesn't take it, because I don't want to set it back. But for now, let's just crack on. Okay, let's have a look at the painting. This is what you want to see. After all, this is what you're here to see. And there it is. That's where it's at the moment. You'll notice that the above shot that we've got now is actually a little bit better than the above shot that you had in the other studio. It's actually, I don't know, it's wider for some reason. Maybe it's the way I've got the camera set or whatever. But you can now actually see here the palette and the paint box, which you couldn't see before. You won't be seeing it throughout everything, because otherwise I can't get the chat on the screen and all this sort of thing at the same time. But this is what we got. This is where we're at. This is Lulu at Musella. I think it's pronounced Musella. I am guessing to some degree. It's Musella in Georgia. I looked it up on Google Earth, had a good look at it, and it is right. I don't want to seem in any way. What should I say? I don't want to seem as. I'm not denigrating it when I say this. To me, as an Englishman, it says small town America all over it. And it is a small town in America. I think the population is less than 2,000, if I remember right, from when I was looking at Wikipedia. And when Danny, who sent me this picture, who follows me on Facebook, sent me this picture, the original picture, it just blew me away, because to me, it just said to me, not only did it say small town America, and that always gets to me because I, like many people in the UK, have been brought up watching American television from when I was born, really. I remember, you can probably tell that I'm not a spring chicken. And I remember back in the early 1960s watching things like Highway Patrol and The Twilight Zone and all these different things coming from America. 77 Sunset Strip and all these things. And they were it's just been a part of our lives so much. And I have been twice. My brother, let's get myself back on the screen again for a minute. Yeah, my brother, Michael, lives in Houston, or he did live in Houston. He moves about a bit, to be perfectly honest. But I went to visit him back in 1993 in Houston. And that was just an amazing experience. We are two nations that share a common language, sort of. But in a way, it's very different, but so familiar. As I say, because we've seen it all on television and in films all our lives. While I was in America with my brother, we drove from Houston to San Antonio one weekend. And halfway there, we stopped to get something to eat in a small town just off the interstate called Flatonia. What a wonderful name, Flatonia. And literally, as we pulled into Flatonia, there was this row of shops by the side of the road, and it had that raised wooden sort of porch that we see all the time in the films. And there was this guy outside his shop with a broom brushing the front of the shop. I mean, if I'd been sort of a filmmaker, and I was trying to portray sort of small town America, that's what I would have probably shot. And there he was, brushing the porch in front of the shop, and there was hardly anybody in sight. I mean, I think it was 1,200 population or something like that. And this reminded me of it. When Danny sent me this, it reminded me of that feel of small town America. It looks like this general store here has been here forever. I don't know whether you watch Supernatural. Let's go to the shot so you can see both me and the painter at the same time. There I am. I don't know whether you watch Supernatural. We love Supernatural. We watched the entire, was it 15 series? Loved it, absolutely loved it. But this, to me, I can imagine, if you watch Supernatural, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, well, please forgive me. But I can see Sam and Dean walking into that shop, walking through into that store, dressed in their sort of black suits and their coats or whatever, and announcing themselves as some FBI agents with the names of rock stars. You know how they do it. But it said that to me. So I loved this image. So that's where we start. We start with the fact that even if Danny hadn't wanted to buy it, and he is buying it, well, he's paid for it actually. Um, Even if he hadn't decided that he wanted to have it done, I was still going to paint it anyway because I just love the image, and I'm just loving working on all this stuff up here. That's the detail, really, I suppose. I do like detail. It's one of the things that I do like. It's not exact to the photograph. I'm not going for what you'd say photorealism or whatever. When you see this when it's complete, you will know when you see it in real life that you're looking at a painting. I want you to know that you're looking at a painting. If it just looked like a photograph, what am I doing? You might as well just have the photograph. I want it to look like a painting, but it's got so much business going on that I love. One of the first things that attracted me to it was the perspective. I just love linear perspective. You know, the way these lines here sweep down and sweep into the distance, and then the building here sweeps down and away to the side there. And you've got so much depth and movement in that, just in that linear perspective. And the road is moving, coming up here. It's all going that way. And then coming the other direction is little Lulu down here, the camper van, who's the star of the show. I mean, we mustn't say it. You know, this baby is the star of the show down here. If you know me, if you watch me painting at any time, you will know that I've painted an awful lot of Volkswagens. It's just well, the way it's been the last couple of years, I've ended up painting a lot of Volkswagens. So we've got that linear perspective, and we've got here depth as it goes underneath the canopy, and that's another thing that I love. The fact that we've got this here. This is all in the sunlight up here. You can feel the sunlight on the roof here and on the canopies and all that sort of thing. You know that it's hot. You've got a nice sort of blue sky. You know that it's hot there. But under here, under these canopies, it deepens down, and we have some depth in there, and that's what I'm trying to create. Then we've got this area down here where we've got action. We've got people. There's somebody sitting over here as well. But we've got people. You know, there's a lady here. She's buying some fruit and veg from this guy that she's standing next to, and over here there's I think it's another lady just setting up the stall and making sure the stall is still good. It's got so much going for it. There's no way that I wasn't going to paint this image, so that's what I've done. And where we are at the moment, as you can see, I started, and you would, if I'd been able to stream this last month, you would have seen this happen, obviously. So I'll fill you in a little bit. I started with the sky. Then I added the trees. Working down the paper. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm coming to paint and I've got to bring my hand all the time over the top of an area that I've already painted. I don't want to risk spoiling anything down here. So I'm working down the paper. And so we got here the walls. I mean, this is getting the character into this brick wall. That was quite something. It's an old brick wall. It's not nice and new. It's got lots of bricks in of different shades and different colours, and the way it's weathered over the years. And then we've got the signs on the side here, and they've got to be accurate. We've got to know, as you look in here, that it says, even though you can see half the sign, it says drink Coca-Cola, and we know exactly what it says, even though we can only see half of the letter in. And so we've got all this, that's the way I do it. And then I came down and I'm working down here, and I'm at the moment working really on this area under this canopy. And I think what I'm going to do, I keep being very tempted to go over here, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying to save that. I don't want to sort of work all over it too much. So I've been working under here and trying to get the dips and the darkness under this canopy. And of course the bricks under the canopy here in the darkness are a lot darker than the bricks in the wall above. So we've got little things going on there. So I think what we'll do now is we'll start and put some paint on. I think it's about time that I did that. I'm working on my tablet here so that I can do the wonderful pinch and zoom thing where, you know, so I can actually make the image larger so I can see the detail more. And I'm going to work, I think, this way. I'm going to come down here and then work my way across the painting. There's a good reason why. If I work that direction, my hand is going across what could be wet paint, and I don't want to do that. You get it? Okay. Little practical things make all the difference. I think I'm going to first of all work on this background area here and come this way and then bring in this post. I've already done some of the posts in the background here and trying to get a feel of the wood and all that sort of thing. I wonder if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. Hang on. Let's see. Overhead camera. And let's move it up there. There you go, you can see the area that I'm working on better now. It's a bit of a dodgy way to zoom, but I think it'll work for you. Maybe we've lost a tiny bit of definition, but hopefully not too much. There we go, so you can see a little bit clearer what I'm doing. Okay. Remember, there is a chat box. The chat box is sitting at the side. Whatever platform you are watching it on, and this is going out at the moment on Facebook, it's going out on Twitter, it's going out on Twitch, and it's going out on YouTube. So whichever platform you are watching it on, if you type into the comment section or the chat box, whichever it's there, whichever's there on the platform that you're watching it on, it should come onto my chat here, and I am only too happy to talk to anybody that's watching. I really enjoy the company when I'm doing this. So okay, so we've got the water as far away from the painting as it can be, really, but that's not a bad thing because you don't want to risk the water getting onto the painting where you don't want it, do you? So let's have a little look at the sign and the window that's under here. Let's first and foremost just drop the window area in here. The tone of this wants to be spot on, actually. One of the advantages of the way I working in watercolour, is that if the watercolour dries on your palette, all you really need to do is to add a little bit of water, and bingo, you're back in the game. And there's been a period where I haven't been able to work on this, but the paints that I've mixed and the paints that I've been working with as I've been sort of doing what I've done on the painting so far, they're still here, and all we need is a little bit of water, and magically they're back. That's better. As I say, I hope the stream is going out well to all platforms. It's I don't really know, because I'm just concentrating on painting really. Once we start, it becomes about the painting, less about the technology. So I don't really know how well it's actually going out into the world until the end, and I get to look at what's gone out. Let's I mean, I'm still, to be perfectly and absolutely honest, I'm still in a position where I'm a little bit in awe of the fact that I can actually even do this. You young people that might watch this at any time have grown up. You've grown up in an era of... Let's check this out, hold on. Get my brain... Oh, there we are, that's it. You've grown up in an era of technology that I didn't grow up in. I used to dream of... Well, you know when you're a kid and you think, oh, I wish I had that, oh, I wish I had that. And one of the things that I always wished I had was a tiny television that I could take with me anywhere I went. And now I've got one. It sits in my pocket. And it's a phone. And it's a computer. And it does all that stuff. And to me, that's like a dream coming true. It's like magic. I realised a little while ago that, my two stepsons, one was born in the year 2000 and the other was born in 2002. And the fact of the matter is that they haven't known, as they've grown up, an era that didn't have smartphones. Smartphones were a dream until 2000 and was it 2002 the first iPhone, something like that. I actually, for a while in the late 90s, I actually repaired mobile phones. I worked repairing mobile phones for a while. And that was magic enough to be able to have a phone in your pocket as you walk around, and being able to take the phone out and play Snake. Just a line go round and round the screen. But this that we can do now is just incredible. When I think that as I do this, as I sit here in the front room of my home, painting and talking away, there can be people watching this and listening to this all over the world. And in the weeks that led up to the when I ended up having to stop initially because the for some reason the broadband in the studio decided that it had had enough and it wasn't going to do any more. Thank you very much. In the month or so building up to that, which is only when I think I managed to stream for a month before it died. But in that time, some of the sessions I was absolutely amazed because talking to me online at the same time were people all over the world. I had people in North America, in the northern states, I had people in the southern states, I had someone in India, and I had someone in South Africa, all online with me at the same time. I had someone on watching me and chatting to me as I was painting from Australia. You can't get any further away around the world than Australia when you're here. And it's just mind-blowing as far as I'm concerned. And I love it. So, if there's anybody out there that is watching this live and you want to say hello via the chat, I love that. I enjoy it when people talk to me. I like that. It makes me realise that there are people out there. Because at the moment, it looks like and sounds like I'm talking to myself, which I might be. But I keep talking because when these things are finished, when the live stream is finished, the video stays. The video stays on YouTube, and it stays on quite a lot of the platforms, to be honest. And people could possibly be watching this years into the future. So if you are, hello, people of the future. Yeah, that's great. It's incredible thought, isn't it? Really and truly. To think that when I was a kid, I hope you don't mind me going down memory lane all the time here. It's an age thing, I suppose. But when I was a kid, excuse my half-finished sentences. Sometimes I have to concentrate on the painting. Yeah, when I was a kid, the whole, television, our first television that I remember was an old black and white VHF television, 405 lines, blurry as anything really when you compare it to anything that's come since. And we would have to occasionally, when the picture would start going funny and everything, and we'd actually get up and we'd hit the television, and the picture would come back because the television was full of valves, or vacuum tubes, as you say in America. And hitting the television actually did something. There's no point in hitting a television now. Let me tell you that now. If you get angry with something nowadays, there is no point hitting the TV because there is nothing in there that moves when you hit it. So there's no point taking out your frustrations in life on your television set. But when I was a kid, hitting it did something. And it was black and white. And I can still remember the first colour television that I ever saw. And strangely enough, all these years later, I've ended up living about 3 miles away from that very place where I saw that very first television. And it was in a shop well, it would be, wouldn't it? It was in a shop in a town just 3 miles away from where I live now, called Crewe, in the UK. In the UK, to some degree, everybody knows Crewe, even if they've never actually walked the streets of Crewe in any way, because of the railway station. It's one of those places where if you want to get from A to B and you're going up north, you tend to go through Crewe. So everybody knows Crewe in some way. And this television set was in a shop window in Crewe, in a shop right by the bus station. And strangely enough, they have literally just this last few months demolished the old bus station and demolished the shop where I saw the very first colour television that I ever saw. And that would have been around about 1968. So do the math, as you say, in America. It was literally that long ago. And where am I going with this? I know where I'm going with it. I was saying, so around about 1968, it would be, I saw my very first colour television. We didn't own one for a while after that. We still had, in 1968, we still had only 2 television stations. We had BBC. There was no BBC One or anything like that because there was only BBC. The BBC or ITV, independent television, with adverts and all the rest of it. And around about 1968, BBC Two came along, and people at school would be talking about things that were on BBC Two. And we didn't get BBC Two for years. Well, no, I'll say, well, probably wasn't years, probably just felt like it to me as a kid. But we didn't get BBC Two for a while. Now look at it. Not only do we have the choice of goodness knows how many television channels, there are so many, but we also have good old streaming services, good old Netflix and all the rest of them. And I think we basically stream everything now. And where did I start this? Oh, I know. I started this because I was I was saying how magical I think it is that I'm little old me, little old Stevie, sitting here in his front room of his house in Nantwich in Cheshire in the UK. He's sitting here literally broadcasting to the world, not just to the country. You know, that's like, you know, when I think about it, the BBC and the other live channels, Channel 4 and ITV and all the rest of it, they broadcast live television to this country. And I'm sitting here broadcasting to the entire world in one go. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. And to be perfectly honest, you cannot imagine how much of a, as we would say in this country, a Heath Robinson, and if you don't know who he was, look him up, Googling, a Heath Robinson arrangement I've got here to actually make this happen. And to think that on this thrown together system that I've thrown together to be able to do this, I'm reaching all four corners of the globe, which is a stupid phrase when you think about it, isn't it? All four corners of the globe. It's a globe, it has no corners. But anyway. When you think that it's just mind-blowing. So if anybody is out there watching this, wherever you are, welcome, and please feel free to say hello via your chat or via your comments, whatever, all depending on what you're watching this on. My apologies for the fact that this doesn't happen very fast. This is not going to. This isn't one of those speeded up dynamic drawings or paintings that you see. So I might speed it up and make a time lapse out of it. I do that sometimes when it's done. Condense all the hours that it takes to do it into a minute. But these things take a lot of time. They take hours and hours and hours of work. So, you know, if you're thinking to yourself, my goodness, what am I doing? I'm literally watching paint dry here. Well, you are, yes, literally watching paint dry. But, you know, you don't have to stick around if you don't want to. You can go away, you can come back. I'll still be here when you come back, painting away. Yeah. Do what some people do, put me on in the background and get on with your life and just keep looking at the screen occasionally and see how I'm getting on. I've got a lovely picture somewhere that my friend Dorae in India sent me a few weeks ago of he'd actually put the live video of me painting onto his television set in the I think it was one in the kitchen in oh see, this is why you've got to be careful about this. I've smudged something. Luckily it's gonna be okay. It's kind of lift off enough. Let's get a different brush. That's the one I want. That's a bit stiffer. You know, people have this idea that when you're working in watercolour you can't correct things, you can't change things. Well, yes you can. You just have to know what you're doing. So, because this is going to be, it's very light on the picture, but it is going to be tinted down, so that'll be okay. And then of course the writing here is going to go over that. I don't know where that happened from, that way I've got a little bit on my knuckle and I've smudged it across from somewhere. These things happen, not to worry. It ain't the end of the world. So what's next? Oh yes, let's get the trusty number 8 brush. Let's add a little bit of bright yellow to this area here. There's a plant on the table of some kind. I don't know whether it's I don't know what it is. Probably some vegetable of some kind, but it's got like very spidery sort of leaves. I just want to capture that before it happens. Before we lose it. Right. Time is it? It's just gone 3. That's okay. I've been on 3/4 of an hour. I hope you will bear with me just for 1 minute while I just walk the length of the house and back again, just to exercise my back. It's not good for me to stay in one place all the time. So as I'm nursing it at the moment, I'm just going to get up, walk to the other end of the house and back again. It'll take me a minute or two. So don't go anywhere. I will be back. You can have a look at the painting while we're waiting. Right. Just grabbed a bite while I was out there for a minute. Never saw Bob Ross do anything off a sandwich, did you? Get it all here, I tell you. Oh, you know, it's very hard to do this sort of thing without continually thinking about Bob Ross. He sort of defined the whole painting while you're being watched sort of scene, didn't he? And I think I've even found myself, as I've gone on with this, starting to whisper in the Bob Ross way. You know, Bob Ross would talk very, very quietly. And it's obviously in his American drawl, not my English accent. But talking very quietly and sort of drawing people into it. I watched a documentary about a month ago, something like that. It was a long documentary on Bob Ross and his life and his story, and quite an amazing story, really, and a bit of a sad one in the end, I must say. You know, considering that Bob has become some kind of, he's become some kind of cult hero. And to think that his son, who he sort of wanted to inherit the Bob Ross empire, really, and sort of take over where he left off, has been totally and absolutely cut out of it by the people who were running the business side of it, who only seem to care about how much money they can make out of Bob's name. Well, it was very sad in many respects. Just goes to show, doesn't it? You don't know what's going on in anybody's life, really, when it comes down to it. We see these people on our screens every day, and we make assumptions about their lives, but we don't know. We really have no idea what's going on. That's why it shocks us, I think, so much when we find that they've been doing something that's a bit iffy or whatever, that we just didn't think of that person like that, Let's get the there we go. I don't want it to be too bright. one of the things that tends to happen as I'm doing this is as the day goes on, and I tend to get more and more into the detail of the things, I do start to talk less and less. So if you'll excuse me if I start to mumble a little bit as well, just imagine it's Bob Ross. I mean, for goodness sake. Difference is, of course, that I'm painting one picture here. There's going to take me, and it is taking me, a good number of hours to do. Days, really. Over quite a few days. Whereas Bob, each one of those paintings that you see on Bob Ross's show, that he paints in, what was it, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, could only take the adverts out. That's better. Each one of those paintings, he actually painted three. He actually painted 3 times. Each painting was painted 3 times, so that during the actual, so they could get all the right shots that they wanted. So they're making a TV show, of course, aren't they? I'm just letting you into my life, really. Much more casual, put it that way. Blocking this in really with the background sections of the signs. This one here is a little bit different in the fact that the writing on it is white, so we're going to try and leave just a hint of the white writing there. I'm not going to write the words, I mean there's a bit too much in it, it's only a tiny little detail. find that I do sometimes forget to talk. I forget that there are people watching and all that sort of thing. If I do that, please engage me. Write something in the comments box. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Sometimes it's a bit odd because you sit here all the time and it's like you're talking to yourself. And see if I can do this. Yeah, that's going along nice. That sign is actually maybe a little bit too bright. Consider it's underneath the canopy. It's better. Sort of just knock it down a little bit. It's better. Otherwise it's too dominant. Okay. At this point I think we can take off this bit of masking. There we go. And bring the leaves of the plant down over the edge of the table. A lot of notifications going up on my computer at the moment. I think I should try and remember to turn those off when I'm streaming. That's better. That's better. Okay, that's let's do the post, which has got a sort of grey, browny sort of background to it all on this side. That's better. Much lighter tone of that grey brown on the front face. Bring all this down in one go. This. stop for a minute. Well, you're a right quiet lot out there, aren't you? Nobody's going to chat to me. Either that, or the chat's not working. Which it will be interesting to know if the chat wasn't working. So if anybody has tried to chat to me while we've been doing this, and for some reason it's not sort of come through, perhaps you could just leave a comment on the video at the end, and just say to me, I tried to leave a chat but it didn't come through, and then I'll know that the chat's not working. So, you know, I don't know, or say something to me now, even if it's just hello, then I'll know that it's working. Because of course this is all new. It's moved in from, not only has it moved in from the outside, from the studio, the other studio outside, it's also, this is on a totally different computer, so I've had to set it all up all over again, because the computer that I was working on outside is a PC and this is a Mac. So different things, different bits. If anybody is interested, perhaps you would like to know, I know quite a lot of the people who watch this sort of thing are artists themselves, or learning maybe, and perhaps you would like to know what palette I'm using here and what colours I'm actually that's better. I think it's quite important to keep the palette as limited as possible, really. I'll go through it in a second. I'll just do this a little bit down this post, and I'll go through it. I know people like that. I always like that sort of technical information from somebody. And that's quite interesting. Right. where's my, let's go to the overhead full shot so you can actually see the paint box. You can see most of it. It's a little bit missing off the end here. I don't know whether I can just move everything sideways slightly. Anyway, you can see it all now. Probably messed up the other shot, but my lovely paint box here that I have had now since it's almost coming up to its 30th year, I think. It probably is about 30 years old now. I got it around about 91, I think. I love it. It's beautiful wooden paint box. It's a Roni paint box, but it doesn't say De La Roni, and it says T&R Ronies, which presumably was what Ronies were before they became De La Roni. And this lovely old label that it has in the top that's covered in blotches of paint and everything that it's picked up over the years, which I rather love actually. It's called patina, isn't it? Patina or patina. Just realised I moved that. There we go. Put that back. So what we have in the box that you can probably see just about. We have a selection of different colours. We have cyanide blue, which is sort of on the, I think it's on the red hue, that one. Cyanide comes in a red hue and a green hue, I think, if I remember rightly. And this one is on the sort of greenish red, you know. There's a, you can see there, it's got a quality to it that's hard to explain. It's sort of a slightly muted. Next to that we've got French Ultramarine, which needs a bit more putting in there. I think we've got a tube over here and squeeze some in from. Next to that is Hooker's Green, which is a great sort of mixing green. It's a green, you wouldn't want to use it on its own because it's much too vibrant and strong, but it's a great green for mixing in with other colours. I mix it in with a lot of the browns and the greys and everything, just to mute it down and take it down a peg or two. Next to that, New Gamboge, a beautiful sort of bright, sort of orangey, sort of yellow. Without going into the cadmiums, I don't like the cadmiums. I know a lot of people love the cadmiums, the old cadmium red and cadmium yellow and all the rest of it. Nothing environmental, nothing green or anything like that about it, and I know some people love that, but in watercolour those colours are not transparent. They are opaque, and I have this aversion to too many opaque colours. I don't like to have too many opaque colours. I like to work with transparent colours, and that way, to me, it doesn't. You're not going to get the painting going dead, which is the last thing in the world that you want. Next to that, we have my favourite yellow. It's called Transparent Yellow, which is a lovely, vibrant, slightly cooler, slightly on the cooler side, yellow, and you can put as much of it on as you like. It's never going to go opaque. It is always going to remain transparent and glowing, which is lovely. Next to that, one of the only opaque colours in the box, and that's yellow ochre. It's a great colour. Everybody swears by yellow ochre. We all use yellow ochre. I tend not to use it as much as I used to when I was first starting out because of the opacity. You've got to be very careful with it, but sometimes you really need it. This is Rose Dorae, which is a beautiful pink. I use it an awful lot when I'm doing portraits. Mixing it together with a little bit of burnt sienna, and different sort of little bits, so maybe the occasional bit of this next colour, which is alizarin crimson. You can get some lovely flesh tones that way. So we got that. We got, next up, we got burnt sienna. Next to that, we got, I think that's raw sienna, that one. I'd have to look it up that. This is burnt umber. No, actually, I think that's raw umber, is it? Hold on, let me check this out. I just know what I use, I know what I dip into, but occasionally you need to look. And especially when you're reordering, your paints to replace them, you want to make sure you get the right ones. So, in the bottom of the palette underneath, I made these, which are really, really useful because they make sure not only do I remember what colours I'm buying, but I also remember which brand they were, because different brands are different colours. So what we have here is, as I said, rose Dorae, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, raw umber. I was right, that's raw umber. Then burnt umber, Payne's grey, which I use an awful lot. I love Payne's grey. To me, it's a universal grey blue. Is it a blue? Is it a grey? It's hard to say. It's somewhere in between, but it makes a great dark as well. I tend not to think of the word black. I tend just to go with darks, because these areas here that you can see here, I mean, it will depend a little bit on what your screen is like, but they are not. None of them are black. This is dark Payne's grey. This is the hat is a mixture of paint and this colour here, which is neutral tint, which is that one. Because what we've got here, we've got some warm sepia, which is a nice browny colour. We have ivory black, which is a black that tends towards the brown. We have neutral tint, which is a grey, but it also will make a good black when you use it thickly. Next to that, cerulean, which is another, if I remember rightly, opaque colour. It is indeed, it's opaque. There are not many, there's only two opaques in here. Cerulean. Next to cerulean, we've got manganese blue, which is one of my favourites. Very similar to the cerulean, but not opaque. Transparent. Next to that, sap green, good old sap green, and then raw sienna. That's what's in the box. However, they don't all get used all the time. This painting has not used cyanide blue. This painting has used some French ultramarine in the sky. I don't think I've dipped into the hookah screen at all, not even for the leaves. I have just, when I've been doing the sign, dipped for the first time into the new gamboge. Transparent yellow, that has been used a lot. So French ultramarine, transparent yellow. The reds have come from mixtures of transparent yellow and the alizarin crimson. The burnt sienna gets used together with the burnt umber, creating the brickwork, but everything's not back constantly with touches of Payne's grey in it, just knocking the colour down, knocking the tones down, as I like to say. Haven't used any of the black or any of the warm sepia. I've used some of the neutral tint and these darks. None of these. We've used sap green mixed with other colours to make the greens, and none of that. So what we've actually used is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've used 8 colours so far to make this painting, and we probably won't use any more than that. That was probably going to be the whole palette. I thought you might be interested in that. I thought it might be quite interesting for you to see my palette and see what I do with it. Let's go back to the overhead shot. Everything's moved slightly sideways, but it's still okay actually. Still works. Okay, everything's... what's the time? Check the time. Right, I am now going to call it a day for this particular session, because I don't want to tax the back too much straight off. I will be back on again tomorrow afternoon, I imagine. I think tomorrow afternoon is better in many respects than... Oh no, I can't come in tomorrow morning, because tomorrow morning I'm going plein air painting for the first time since COVID started. Once COVID started, I stayed home most of the time. I'm getting on. I'm diabetic. Why take the risks? I've got a world to my own here in front of me, so you know, all the painting I've done since the first lockdown has been in the studio. So, but tomorrow morning I am going out plein air painting with a friend of mine on Facebook and on Instagram and other platforms, and David and I are going out plein air painting together, which I'm really quite excited about, because it's sort of what the Impressionists used to do, isn't it? You know, they'd go out together. Renoir and Monet would, you know, at the time when they were living together early on, the shed and Atelier, they would go out plein air painting together, and the two of them would paint the same place, but their paintings would be so different from each other. And that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow. You know, David and I paint very differently, so it'll be interesting to see how our paintings turn out of the same place, you know. And so I'm going to record as much of it as I can. I will take photographs, I will shoot video, and I will put it together, and I'll share it with you. And we'll see how it goes. So that's something I'll still look forward to. That's a little bit different. That's tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, I shall be back in here, and I shall work some more on this painting. Let's just pull back and you can see the whole thing again just before we finish. That's where we're at the moment. We've actually worked quite a lot actually on this area. This area under here is almost finished. Just from that little session this morning, which is nice because I've had my eye on this bit for a little while. This won't take us long. This is much bigger sort of tones and bigger strokes and all that sort of thing. So I shall work on that tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll concentrate on this quarter of the painting, bringing it all together. So I hope you have enjoyed watching, and I hope you enjoyed sort of just seeing the paint go on. I enjoy that. I like that. I enjoy sitting and watching the paint go on. I like watching other people when they're painting. I think you learn an awful lot from watching other people paint, and we are never too old to learn, are we? That's one of the things that is just, I think it's a great thing in life actually. I love learning new stuff all the time still, and I don't ever want to stop doing that. So you can, no matter how much you know, no matter how much you've done, no matter what you can do, there's always stuff to learn, isn't there? So anyway, enough of that. thank you very much for being with me. Thank you very much for sticking around. I shall be back on tomorrow. If there's anything that you would like to know, please send me a message. If you would like me to paint for you, please send me a message, Send me a photograph, send me a picture of anything. Remember, Christmas is coming up, and okay, they're not the cheapest thing in the world, but they make damn good presents because they are absolutely unique and they are very special to whoever they're painted for. So, if you want anything painted for Christmas, get in there now, because the closer it gets to Christmas, the more and more difficult it gets to just fit everything in. So that's where we're at the moment. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.